Soup store. Welcome everybody to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me have some more RPG horror stories. Did you know I can make silly little faces? Look at little silly faces I can make. I have a limited amount of faces I can make when I'm like in this specific mode, when I'm in desktop mode. But you know what? I like my little silly faces. I can look panicked or happy or angry and kind of happy. Today's been a good day. Anyway, let's get some RPG horror stories for today. Red flag after red flag. Throwaway account because the DM of this story is on Reddit. You know the drill. Never thought I'd experience my own D&D horror story, but here we are. This happened a couple of weeks ago, and while there is no major mess up or outrageous moment from the DM, but just many little things by them that all added up to real mess. So I was looking for extra game to join on Sunday and see other game that sounded pretty great. It was a long-term sandboxing campaign that took place in the academy with an emphasis on building a reputation and a legacy. Sounded right up my alley, so I applied. Got a message back from the DM asking for a Discord call, which I joined. First thing I saw was adding the DM was the Discord avatar was erotic furry art. This somehow was the least severe of the red flags. Anyway, DM calls for an interview on Discord while they're at work. Legit at some point during the call, they have to answer a call from a customer. More than a bit weird, but they seem pretty chill and experienced DM, so whatever. After that, they add me to their D&D server and introduce myself to the other players they got. We're all super friendly. We start discussing character ideas and I think about mine. At this point, I noticed that while looking at the server that even though it's a homebrew world, there's like barely any lore whatsoever. The only lore I could find was on a channel that just had photographs of the DM's world building notes and paper, which of you could barely read. There wasn't any real much idea of the world or its history, just that there were a few kingdoms at war, and the academy we were going to was like a neutral power between them. Very Fire Emblem's 3 heroes. I know, Kingdom didn't even have names of any kind of description, they were just the kingdoms. Bare bones as hell, but hey, maybe the DM still had yet to add more of the lore primer. Anyway, I tried my best to come up with a decent character and backstory, and just slot my character into being from a noble house from one of the kingdoms. Letting the DM know I'm happy to tweak some stuff once I know more about these kingdoms. His response was basically just an okay thumbs up, and that was it. No questions about my character, no suggestion, no important notes about the world or kingdom I should know, no requests for changes to my character sheet, nada. Another quick note about the DM, they weren't the easiest person to message about anything. They were pretty blunt with the responses. I didn't get the impression I would be able to really discuss much campaign or character stuff with them. Not exactly the kind of relationship you want from a DM. Then again, I also thought, hey, they're spending all day doing applications, working, so that probably explains it for a bit. Now during this, I was definitely letting a lot more of these red flags and yellow flags slide that I should have. But I figured, hey, he got a lot of his play today, which probably explains his behavior. It's not like he seems like a bad person or anything, just kinda awkward. Maybe he turns it around session 0, so I at least was going to wait until then. Anyway, I'm browsing the general chat again. Before I go to bed, I completely out of nowhere the DM says, and I quote, "Frick's sake, why is it always trans people?" We are, naturally a little confused, caught off guard by this, and ask him what's up. According to him, he had a rough interview with his last applicant, and they were allegedly trying to force their agenda on the game, probably exaggerating quite a bit by him. He then went off a bit about not wanting trans politics in his games, as he didn't agree with it. Yikes. At this point, he definitely lost me when I tallied up the sheer amount of red flags that day from him. I was gonna tell him in the morning I was out, but went to bed first. Now, I should also point out the player count for the game. Based on how many players I was talking to, it seemed like there'd be maybe 5 to 6 of us in the party. Bit big, but manageable. I got a notification before my alarm telling us the final party selection. 10 players. Oh my god. Message DM saying I had second thoughts and decided to drop out of the campaign. They asked me why, and I just said there were mismanaged expectations and the vibes weren't there for me. I didn't get into the trans thing. I also said 10 players was too many for me. In response, he says the most ominous thing I've ever heard a DM say. Oh, don't worry. I'm gonna reveal something in session 0. They'll probably have the player count. I did not stick around to see what that something was. I can't imagine a DM setting up this whole thing, getting 10 people together, just set up some sort of like a battle royale thing in the very beginning of session 0 that's gonna cut half the players out, if not more, from the campaign. What sort of a plot it was, I suppose we'll never find out. But also, it's really weird for the DM to just use the DM space in order to just gripe and vent about things that make him irrationally irritable and just rant like that. Listen, I have my own tough days sometimes, but I never use my spaces to rant towards anybody specifically or to rant towards something going on the outside of it. But also a player joining in, like, I'm assuming what the whole like trans rant that happened, probably there's a player that applied for and they're trans, and the DM was like, oh, trans person, I don't want trans person in my campaign, blah, 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 blah. Decide to let it blow over. Some people just are trans and just want to play D&D at the end of the day. I have players in my campaign, in my group, that are trans and they just want to play D&D, and that's cool. And it's about, like, listen, I don't recruit people based on who they are as an individual or what they identify as. I just want fun friends that can play D&D with at the end of the day. I don't know. Either way, this DM probably was a red flag, probably wasn't worth it. And especially the ominous comment at the end about revealing something in session 0 that'll probably have the player account. Imagine creating a character, being so excited, and then reveal something that basically gets your character booted within the first, like within session 0, not even first session, within session 0. That is crazy. A little too crazy for me. I'd rather just play a regular game. Thank you very much. Anyway, let's move on to the next story. Completely new players is convinced they have played Dungeons and Dragons. This story begins on high school Dungeons and Dragons club. As a forever dungeon master, I joined hoping to play. However, I would sooner regret this. One of the players who was new player offered to be the dungeon master. Our group likes to be generous, but a new DM and player is a lot of one. We recommended to run a one-shot first to see if they were comfortable with the role. We'll call this player Charlotte. Charlotte states she had actually played one campaign before themed after the Odyssey, so we had more trust. We still recommended to begin with a one-shot. She took this too seriously later, according to the ones who stayed in the entire campaign. After session 0, the next week we get a club with session 1. Session 1 is slow. No combat, no plot. This is understandable, we only got 2 hours each week. We understood Charlotte's choice to write a story about how the PCs are met. Session 2 comes around and she begins with a decent session about a pirate-ran game show on the sea. But during session 1 and 2, and even 0, the mechanics felt different, weird. We gained 1d10 HP total every time killing a monster, and Charlotte believed most of our class features were fake. Brought this up, and Charlotte stated the classes were completely different in the game she played, only having 5 different abilities, level 1 through 20. All they gained was HP each level and better stats. We'll agree to discuss next week exactly what game Charlotte played. We gather next week, and the discussion session began with the DM ranting about how angry they were about us using custom printed player handbook and not the core rules. No TTRPGs like these rules. No older edition have these rules. How would we custom print D&D books in high school and give it to the whole club? We're playing 5e. Wanted to have a friendly conversation about the game they played and not get attacked. Wanted to progress the conversation. We try to move back the conversation to the game they played. We were continuously harassed for the next 2 hours. After the session, I texted Charlotte to look up the 5e to prove we didn't make the player handbook, and she refused because she knew she was correct. I discussed with her where she played D&D, and she stated she played D&D with her friends on a private roleplay Roblox server, where all her DM did was give her crappy fake classes and say yes, no to actions, no dice. I'll be mad at her DM, but because she attacked our group and didn't believe how we said the game word, we quickly left that group. And for the ones that stayed the entire campaign, they said they suffered one of the worst campaigns with arguments, bad homebrew, and a toxic DM. Lack of storyline was also present. Each session was a self-contained storyline. The funniest part of this story for me was the fact that Charlotte believed we custom printed the core rule books. Laughing emoji. Freaking Roblox ruins everything again, dude. No, I'm kidding. Like, Roblox is okay. I mean, I've seen aspects where Roblox takes something that's currently popular and exists out there and basically turns it into like a Roblox slop. I don't know if you've ever seen Roblox slop. Once you experience it, you experience it. It feels like a Temu version of anything. When something becomes Robloxified, it becomes like a Temu version of it, where it just looks very sloppily slapped together just because it's a new popular thing. Oh, new horror game is out, new FNAF game is out. Let's just Roblox slop it. Or Mecha Chameleon is out. People playing that hiding game. Let's Roblox slop it. You know, it's basically just mimic the mechanics in the most sloppiest way possible and just put a bunch of microtransactions to it, because apparently Roblox is just all about that. Microtransaction feeding microtransactions to the kids that are playing Roblox, while also allowing predators to be on a platform, which is still a problem, by the way. It's still a problem. I haven't forgotten. I don't think anybody has forgotten. Roblox is a predator haven, apparently. Either way, it's kind of funny that Charlotte is so confident that I don't even believe that 5e exists. There's custom printed handbooks, core rulebooks for 5e. It can't be real. What is this logo? WotC? Never heard of it. Must be all lies and slander. Guys, whatever you see on Roblox, don't believe it. Just don't believe it. If it says D&D, don't believe it. Actually, just don't even play Roblox. Play something else. Play a gentleman's game. Like, I was about to say Genshin Impact. No, don't play Genshin Impact. I mean, you can if you want to. Play Arknights Enfield. Play gentleman's game. Play with waifus in Arknights Enfield. Not sponsored. Just like the game. Anyway, let's move on to the next story for today. D&D group used to recruit into a real live sex cult. What? I was in the army at Fort Bragg back in late 90s. Oh, I actually know Fort Bragg. I think it's pretty close to here. There were 2 gaming stores. Actually, is it? Oh, yeah, Fort Bragg is actually close. It's in Carolinas. Crazy. Okay, sick. Let's continue. Sorry. There were 2 gaming stores in town. One big one and one small one that was in the second floor of a house converted to a real estate business on the first floor. This couple, Wendell, and I don't remember his wife's name, ran the store and ran different games each night. Battletech one night, Shadowrun the next, etc. D&D once a week, and every other weekend a huge all-night D&D game, and the players would just rack up in sleeping bags. At the same time, the couple was running a Vampire Masquerade LARP at the techno club in town. I tried it once, thought it was silly and quit. To be honest, I thought Wendell was a dick abusing the game to force his minions to pay for his drinks, but most of the D&D players were in a vampire LARP. So even though I wasn't on the LARP, I was still around it and hanging out with some of the players. Started noticing some weird stuff. Wendell's wife making the minions bring food and drink to the game nights, pay for drinks at the club, etc. Then I started to notice that Wendell was dominating a guy and his girlfriend and making the girlfriend sit with him, and the guy acts subservient to his wife, who is not attractive. The store went under and they moved all the gaming to their rental house, so that's when I started realizing that more of the LARPers were young soldiers away from home for the first time, and this couple was basically taking advantage of young nerds out on their own for the first time and using the D&D and other games to hook them, and that we are popular at the club, so you're popular too. Of course they're popular, they were selling weed, to reel them in and use them to financially support Wendell and wife and sex stuff too. I got away from the situation before I could reel it, but I heard from some friends that a dude snapped and took a couple of shots at Wendell for using a LARP to bang his girlfriend at the gaming house, got shot down. Okay, you just left off at the most exciting part possible. I wanted to see what this real life sex cult, how bad this real life sex cult was. I mean, yeah, basically use your position to try to sleep with someone, a significant other. Not okay whatsoever. The fact that it's happening in my state is scary. We got Vampire the Masquerade sex freaks in my state somewhere, potentially. Someone near Fort Bragg. Wow, that feels so weird to say Fort Bragg, dude. This is in my state. This feels so real. Oh my god. This is the weirdest thing ever. But also, I've heard weird stories about my state. This is not to do with the RPG horror story, but I've heard that there's literally a sex cult living somewhere on like a old ranch somewhere here in Carolinas. I don't remember their name. I don't remember exactly, but like basically it's like a wife and husband in their like older years, and they basically allow people, like young people, to stay over, like new college students and stuff like that. Allow them to stay there. But while they're there, specific rules they gotta follow. For example, they can't use like towels or something whenever they go after the shower. They have to go to their room naked, or there's specific things they have to do, specific etiquettes. If they're being fed like some sort of food, they have to like bend or like kneel down and open their tongues out and be like doing weird things. I'm pretty sure that got shut down and it's got closed down and everything. I'm sure there's some sort of like a police report about it, but I've heard some stories, dude. North Carolina sex cults are a thing and it's insane. This is why, weirdly enough, I believe the story actually happened. I genuinely believe the story happened, dude. I've heard some stories. I don't remember I wish I knew the name of the actual house itself. I'm sure if somebody goes looking that up, they'll find something. But yeah, it's crazy. It's weird. Is my state cursed with sex cults? It might be potentially. But also, guys, if you see somebody trying to manipulate you, trying to get you to buy drinks and stuff, unless you want to buy drinks, don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't engage with someone else's behavior just because they're like, oh, they're the popular people, so I want to be around the popular people and stuff. It's just not a good way to do it. Anyway, everybody be safe and don't join part of a Vampire Masquerade LARP sex cult or anything. Of course it's gonna be Vampire the Masquerade. Of course, Vampire the Masquerade. You can't have vampires without the sex. And I noticed that it's a pattern, and unfortunately, it's just always going to stick, dude. It's always going to stick. Anytime you hear Vampire the Masquerade mentioned in RPG horror stories, you know it's going to be something sexual about. You know it's going to be bad. Listen, I don't make the rules. I just read the stories. And with that, that's going to be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thank you so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG horror stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.